You know I suck at making decisions. And as a result, you know what I do when I don't know how to make any decisions for myself? I spin a wheel. Because what could possibly happen when you let a wheel decide your fate? Ah, shit! Listen, 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 listen! I know it's March when I'm making this video. So that means it's Women's History Month. But the thing is that I've actually been meaning to make this video for quite a while. Like, I would say like 2 or 3 months ago, guys. And I only started doing this until like February, late February. And what I mean by late, I mean like 2 days before March. And I just realized when I was making it, I'm just like, oh wait, March is Women's History Month. So perfect timing, I guess. Let's just do it then. And I've actually been meaning to make this for a while because of so many bad takes I've seen in about women in Kamen Rider that I just disagree with, and even then, some of them just piss me right the hell off. So I'm gonna put my hand in this horrible basket, since I didn't think I would be making an Artoku related video. However, this has been building up for quite a while, so this is just me venting. And originally, I was gonna make this just one whole long video that I would just make big as hell with multiple segments in it. But I'm just saying to myself that since people these days have such short attention spans, I'm just saying to myself, I'm just gonna make these into little segments and release them every week, every Wednesday, that'd be for women. So I'm gonna release them in short chapters. Spoilers, of course, but if you don't care for spoilers, or you're gonna go out of your way like, oh shit, I gotta go see these episodes in particular, I'm just gonna get started with the segment and with the reason why I'm making this video. Chapter 1, Kamen Rider Ixa. Now, when it comes to Kamen Rider seasons, Kiva is a miss for some people. However, when it comes to Yuri and Megami, who aren't even the main users of Ixa, are very enjoyable to watch. However, when it comes to who should be the main user, I'm sorry to tell you this, but Otia is the best user in terms of 1986. However, when it comes to 2008, just about every single one of them is good in my book. Almost everyone. However, if I did have to pick the main user in 2008, it would have to be Nago, no doubt about that. However, when it comes to Yuri and Megami, they definitely are worthy of putting that damn belt on and becoming Ixa. However, in particular, episode 19 and 20, despite them not even becoming Ixa in these episodes, I would say during those episodes, one of them was definitely ready to put on that belt to become Ixa. However, the other, not really. Let's start with the episode in question, episode 19 and 20, which starts with a wedding that we'll just immediately skip because that's not the important stuff. The important stuff is Yuri getting into a fight against Rook and getting her ass kicked. But before it looks like she's about to get killed by Rook, he walks away. Which, if you don't know, his priority is the bride, since his entire stuff is just making a game killing certain people, which in this case is killing off brides, which is basically the Grongis in Kamen Rider Kuga. And once he leaves, Yuri gets to live another day. And back in 2008, Wataru is possessed by Otia. I know that this just seems random to bring up, but trust me, this is going to be important for something later. Back in 1986, yeah, that's how little 2008 matters, Yuri is begging for Jiro, who at this point is the main user of Proto-Ixa, to lend her the Ixa belt so she can fight Rook and avenge her mother, who was killed by Rook. However, Jiro denies, saying that he wants to finish him off himself and that she cannot defeat him. Which overall makes it seem like Yuri is in the right and Jiro's a dick. However, what I failed to mention is that Jiro is on the same boat as Yuri as well. Because if you don't know enough Kiva, Jiro is of the Wolfen race, which is basically just werewolves. But also the last of his species. Which, if you may ask, why? It's because Rook and the other Fangires basically killed them all to extinction, with Jiro being the last one. Yes, we are comparing Yuri wanting to avenge her mother to Jiro wanting to avenge his entire race that were killed off. Yes, genocide or dead mother, which one would you pick? And as much as I hate Jiro because he's such a tick and Yuri is honestly so amazing and so much better than Jiro, I'm gonna have to pick Jiro because genocide definitely outweighs dead mom in this case. And even though this is so stupid of a comparison, of course Yuri does not know this. However, we as the audience do know this, so it just makes it so stupid. And after Jiro saying, no, you could piss off, Yuri just leaves. And Otia does what I consider the funniest moment in Kamen Kiva, but also in the process steals the Ixa driver from Jiro and hands it to Yuri. Once Yuri arrives to the church that Rook is in, which I'm just gonna say, side note, I'm just gonna laugh because I just imagine her going to literally every church in Japan and she hasn't found Rook, and then she gets to the last church in Japan and finally finds him. Anyways, back to the important stuff. Nonetheless, she holds up the Ixa knuckle and freezes. She just stands still. And at this point, this is where the BS excuse comes in, which is, why does she hesitate? And for some who say, 'cause she's a woman, listen, we get it, but no. Not even close to the reason. Maybe to you, but I don't see it that way. Because when you look at Yuri holding up the Ixa knuckle, her breath is shortening when Rook walks closer. She's afraid. Well, you may be asking why, because she has fought every other Fangire like nothing, and especially Rook as well. Well, if you remember earlier in the episode, Yuri thinks she's about to die by the hands of Rook. She hasn't thought of death yet at this point in time. She knows she could die, but the fact that she thought in that instant she was about to die is why she hesitates. She's afraid of death. Just a simple flinch out of fear. And of course some of us would just say either damn run or just fucking fight, girl. But every person is different. Everyone has a different reaction. And even some of the people who say those things, to say just fight or do something smarter, would also have the same reaction as well. Because you could give her literally anything. You could give her the best weapons, literally the Ixa belt from 2008, and she would still hesitate. Because she's afraid of any possibility of, if anything goes wrong, she would die. And she would die without avenging her mother, who died right in front of her. Imagine doing all that to avenge your mother, and you just mess up, you slip up, and you just die without even getting to avenge your mother and kill your killer. However, even though we can make an excuse for Yuri in this case, Megami is not on the same boat as her mother. Back in 2008, Nago and Megami are fighting against the Ladybug Fangire with Kengo tagging along because for whatever reason, he decided this episode I'm going to come back. And this fight is already stupid in and of itself because for whatever reason, Nago just refuses to start the fight by turning into Ixa, but beside the point. But due to the stupid juice that Nago decided to drink today, he and Kengo get kidnapped by the Fangire, but just before that happens, Megami grabs the Ixa knuckle, but she also hesitates. However, unlike Yuri, who I just spent the entire time defending, hesitating, because of the fact that she went through a near-death experience, I am going to go hard on Megami, because what the fuck? In episode 20, the reason we get that is explained by Otia, who is still possessing Wataru, is because she does not have the confidence to use Ixa. She does not have the confidence to use Ixa. Okay. She does not have the confidence to use Ixa. But she apparently has the confidence to fight vampire monsters who could just drain you by the neck with flying, floating teeth. And if you think that's bad, it gets worse. After Otiar tells her to accept her weakness, she goes and finds the Fangire in a warehouse, which Nago and Kengo are tied up. But also for some reason they gave her a foot injury earlier, and she could basically barely walk, but for some reason she's now perfectly fine in this instance. Okay, so one small correction while I was making this video. I forgot that in the episode, which is just so stupid, there's nothing physically wrong with her leg. I keep forgetting that part. Because for some reason, I thought she actually injured her leg. And then while watching the actual episode once again, just to make sure, I realized that she's having mental problems in her mind that makes her think that there's something wrong with her leg. You know, it's just so stupid. It still doesn't defeat the purpose of how stupid it is. It's just I need to make the small correction because I realized I fucked up. But when it seems like she has already accepted her weakness in confidence of Ixa, and it looks like she's embraced the fact that, and she's gonna transform to Ixa when fighting the Ladybug Fangire, she takes the Ixa knuckle, but instead of putting on that damn belt, she gives it to Nago! Which I'm just gonna say, at this point in time, he has not gotten his redemption arc, basically. So at this point, he's such a dick. And this is actual stupidity, because, like I said, it is very stupid. But honestly, I think the only reason they even did this to Megami and said, hey, give this to Nago instead of putting on that damn belt when they're tied up and probably haven't eaten for a day or two, it's 100% so they can do the episode 30 thing, where it's just like, oh, Yuri and Megami fight for the first time using Ixa and transform right then and there. Which I'm just gonna say, I would be lying if I didn't say that it wouldn't be as impactful if Megami just transformed earlier in that episode and then Yuri and Megami do it in episode 30. But at the same time, it's just so damn stupid as hell. In a way, Megami is the opposite of Yuri, I would say. Because Megami has really no motivations to fight the Fangire other than my mother hunted the Fangire, so I must also fight them as well. Which is basically the same people who are in the military or doctors who say that the reason they're in the military or a doctor is because their parents were also in the military or doctor. And that's not really a good motivation compared to Yuri joining so she can avenge her dead mother. And she didn't even know her grandmother, and if you say something stupid like, oh, Yuri, to avenge Yuri, no, because she dies, but she doesn't even have a known cause. Like, for all we know, she could have died of a Fangire or slipped on a banana peel and cracked her neck. But either way, at the same time, she also has no reason to hesitate at all. So as a result, it's just stupid. Because in a way, she has no excuses to put on that damn belt. And despite Yuri and Megami not transforming in these episodes, I would say at least only one of them had a pretty okay, well-written reason not to transform just yet. However, the other one, which is Megami, had no damn excuses and was just very stupid and very annoying to watch.